Well, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to see you again on the first day of the new working week. I wish you good health, and this evening on the Darkness Prevails channel, I would like to introduce to you a story by the author of the story of the devil on the full moon night. Ladies and gentlemen, now I'd like to invite you to listen to this story. Through the reading of the intestines, can you see what the people in front are doing? Gwen looked ahead about 30 m and saw a few people sitting and burning votive paper, which was normal because today was the full moon of the 7th lunar month, so people often offered offerings to the souls of the deceased. At this time, he asked, "Oh my God, has anyone not made offerings these past few days? Has your family not made offerings or something? Why don't you ask me to look?" "Well, there are offerings, why not?" "What I mean is, those times, I saw Mrs. 2 making offerings to something and sitting there reading a string of words as if she were reading a sutra. What do those wandering souls need? Must pray, must ask for something to make it tired, just poured out to burn incense, and then at home my mother is the same, but I don't see any prayers or anything." When Kui heard that, she rolled her eyes and said, "Mom, you're crazy. Do you want that? Dung knows that this is the full moon day. Why do you have that kind of story? What's the matter with your house? I don't need to know, but if you're going to worship, you have to be sincere, like your mother. What the hell is it? Who can witness it?" Dung may have been influenced by his family, so he didn't change his attitude of disdain and worshiping the dead. Lin Vang Lang heard his version say that. He raised his voice and argued, "I heard my old lady say that this is also an offering for wandering souls to eat. But those people live evil lives. That's why no one takes them to reincarnation. This is like going to Nguyen Cam Market with that dirty, smelly beggar, giving them my leftover cake. Don't you like to judge those dirty beggars?" Kui heard his friend say that, but didn't know what to say. After all, this guy was born into a wealthy family since he was a child. Money plus the blood of discrimination against the poor from his parents, so it is difficult to blame. Indeed, his parents are the mirror for him to follow. If the parents are not good, the children will also follow that example and become a cruel and inhuman person, because they understand too well the temperament of his dear friend. He did not have time to say more and quickly walked past the people who were worshiping. But when approaching an elderly woman, he often resisted because of her prayer. Dung at this time had the main door. He said, "Is Mrs. 2 crazy or something? What you praying for? It's so literary." "That's right. Too free. So that's why you're like that." Kui heard his friend say that and got angry. "La la, you don't need to say that what other people pray has nothing to do with you. Okay. Going home now, my love, you shouldn't leave the house. They might say it themselves if you're done." Kui left and went home without needing your friend to go home. At the same time, the woman who was helped by the other family looked up and said, "Hey, you guys don't know, don't be stupid enough to say that someone with the same last name and background as a rich family. Like, anything here." Dung was cursed, so he immediately spoke up, "Pay me." Like to say what it said, say, "Do you believe I threw away all your offerings?" This lady seems to be not easy to please, but immediately stood up and said, "Hey, little brat, do you want to die? Or what, don't you think your parents are rich people? So you can do whatever you want. I dare you to kick that and see if your whole family is materialistic or not." She just finished speaking. Then Tian Dung, who was used to putting the pieces and rubble that were being offered across his chest, then extinguished the burning fire. He looked across the bank and said, "Hey, you dare me? I'll push you down and see if any ghost dares to touch. Come to me." No saying that he turned his back and left. She stood there unable to say anything more, because she didn't expect this guy to dare to touch a dead person like that. At this moment, there was a woman sitting on the street, also burning votive paper, so everyone passed by and said, "I just don't pay attention to that guy. His parents are the ones who often rob others, so don't care what he does. His son follows his parents. This month is the month of the wandering ghosts. I'm sure sooner or later that guy will be blamed for it. See, I'm not that cruel, but want to give that guy a beating so he can stop being so stubborn. Just finish it and go home before midnight. This month is limited to being outside. Mrs. Hai, you work a little longer and you'll finish everything. So where are you going?" "Who knows?" Under the golden moonlight on the street, suddenly a few strange guests appeared right at the place where Dung had poured out the offerings. There was a circle of people standing there looking down at the candy and cakes that were lying around. Their eyes were crazy, or were those spirits? The sky flashed with fire, and then everything was strangely burned black. 2 days later at Dung's house, you guys drink quickly. What are you doing sitting there? You can't drink anything. At this time, Dung's father came out. The group of young people who were playing around shook their heads and sighed because he understood that these young people were the children of landlords and tenants who had a lot of money. Dung was his only son, so everything from childhood to adulthood was spoiled by him. So whatever this noble son wanted, his grandparents immediately indulged him. That's why he couldn't teach his son to play around, even many times causing great trouble. But his wife always used her power and money to cover up her son's stubbornness. He stood there and watched for a while, then helplessly went into Nan to sleep. At this time, he was a bit drunk. Dung looked over at his partying friends and said, "Hey you guys, I was scolded so much by Mrs. Tu that day. Is there anyone willing to follow me there, to burn down her house to avenge me? These people rely on their parents' money, so they don't care about the poor." When they hear there's something fun to do, the whole group, 5 or 6 of them all raised their hands to follow and avenge their friend. So with their friend's support, Dung became more and more stubborn, stood up and said loudly, "Leave you, follow me. Tomorrow, each of you will be rewarded with 10 doll. If you dare to go out and burn her house, you will be rewarded with 30 doll." As soon as you heard the amount of money was so large, the young men became excited. They fought for the credit of the group and started to go to Mrs. Tu's house. On the way, the group laughed and talked without any hesitation. One person in the group said something. Then Diane stopped and called the whole group and said, "Hey guys, I think I just saw a ghost. It must be Hung's son." At this time, a farmer spoke up to tease me. I didn't expect to have such a cowardly friend. The waste is better than the girl on this road because of my father. No one dares to block my way. What kind of devil is Dung? At this time, he also spoke up. You guys also know that in our group, Hat is the poorest, so he must be the most cowardly. These guys laughed and teased me again. Hearing his friends laugh at him, I got angry and said, "Damn you guys, you dare laugh at me like that? I won't go with you guys anymore. Tomorrow, if you all die, I will too. I won't come to light incense for you guys anymore." After that, I turned around and went home. My friends were still behind me, laughing and talking, making me even more angry. I cursed them like a boss. I continued to take revenge, but before I could go far, I suddenly stopped and couldn't speak. Everyone who was with me saw it and immediately told everyone to stop. "Hey guys, look at Hung. What's wrong with him? He can't speak." Dung immediately spoke up. "This son of a bitch is acting like that guy. Do you believe that tomorrow I'll investigate? Come and collect your debt. Tonight, whoever follows me. Tomorrow, if you have money. If you don't follow me, my father will come to your house and almost won't give you a penny." Hearing Dung say that, the young man was both drunk and intoxicated because Dung's family was the richest in the area. The other power outages were all indebted to him. If he went against Dung's wishes, it would be like choosing death for himself. But Hung didn't understand what he saw, but he still stood there, eyes wide open, mouth open, words coming out. Someone walked over and patted Hung's shoulder, and he was falling to the ground. At this moment, the whole group was terrified. Realizing that Hung was dead, the whole group couldn't believe it, causing their friend to die in such fear. Dung sat down and looked again to see if the spirit was pretending or not, but after looking at this, Duong also fell backwards and stammered, "Oh my god, he's really dead." Vietnam Hong Meng was about to run away, but Dung stopped him. "Whoever dares to go, I'll kill his whole family. Now I have something you have to do to me, even though everyone is afraid of death. Hung's unusual death. But what scared Han was, Dung's life was so threatening that he had to turn back and listen to his instructions. He carried the soul's body to Mrs. Two's house to blame her for murder, because all the power in this village was in the hands of the village chief, so it was easy to turn white into black to create cruelty. Dung also forced a friend to cut Hung's throat and wrist to create a brutal death to push Mrs. Two's house to the path of death. The next morning, everything was in Dung's plan. Some classics and Mr. Hoy came to arrest Mrs. Two's whole family. About the murder crime at this time, Kui accidentally heard the story and understood the reason why Tian Hung let the killer die like that, because Kui also played with Dung, so he understood the mind of his friend very well. He wanted to tell the council, but how could he listen to Kui? So in the end, all the sins were put on Mrs. Two's head and the scene of her family. The parents of that shaman used extreme torture to torture Mrs. Two's whole family. But you didn't do anything, so even though the whip was bleeding, you still admitted your crime until the end Mr. Hao let you. Huang Hung was also tortured to death, but he wrote a confession and said that she had confessed since the rich people publicly published Mrs. Two's confession. No one knew what happened to her family. A few nights later, everyone started to become scared in the middle of the village. Mr. Hien's house was also a power plant, but did not follow the rich people, so they often oppressed him and some friends. They were drinking tea about Mrs. Two. What do you guys think she was that they forced her to confess to death? Because up until now, although here it was a bit. It's difficult, but I believe because I don't dare to kill Hung in such a barbaric way. Mr. Lin now speaks up about this. No need to say Bai is wrong. Now I'm worried about the whole family because they killed all the projects. Damn, why are these guys so cruel? Now no matter what we do, they won't spare her family. Everyone sits there trying to find some hope to ask for help from Mrs. Two's family. But by midnight, they still can't find a good way. Everyone falls into despair. Then suddenly, you come and talk about the cause. Wyatt brought them to blame, and then heard that sentence. Everyone was startled and looked towards the main yard when seeing the precious statue. Then Mr. Hugh came out and asked the precious child where to go with this. Our, what did you just say? Why don't you understand? Quiet went back to greet everyone, then said more fake child opportunity to get the reason why Mrs. Two was scared like that the night before. She and I had just gone to see Mrs. Two burning votive paper on the street at her house door, and had already left the offering she was offering at that time. I had lawn, then I crawled back to my brother's house to drink with some guys tonight. Why did he tell me to burn down Mrs. Two's house to get revenge for being scolded by Bai? Then, I don't know what happened, but Hung died suddenly. So Dung forced the others to bring his body to Mrs. Two's house, and then pretended to be a murderer to blame her. After hearing that, the men could only shake their heads because even though they knew the cause and the culprit, they had a headache trying to find a way to clear her name. It was difficult because the cause was caused by their noble sons, so they accepted their mistake and answered the people's innocence. Poor Mr. Hien sighed and said, "Let me go tomorrow and see if I can get anything. I think it's harder to get justice for her family than to go to heaven." Mr. Lin spoke up and stopped the freezer. "I'm telling you the truth, you shouldn't go. There's no need to try. Everyone knows the result. We have to find a way to rescue the child right away. Her husband will come back. What about her? I think you haven't said it yet." After finishing the sentence, everyone understood what it meant. I know the result clearly, but I still want to try. Now, listening to Mr. Lin, it makes even more sense. So he called everyone closer and said, "Now I plan to go there tomorrow to investigate her family," and some of them called for more young men so that tomorrow night we can come save people. But another man spoke up to stop him and looked over and asked more people to wait so that we can find out the whole story so we can do it quick. "How do you know about this matter? Were you with them that night? Why did you just look over?" And then softly said, "Yes, I went. There was no monster there, just this." Morning, I heard that idiot tell the story after that. I accidentally heard them talking to each other about Hung's dead tree and the story of using the prisoner's corpse for Mrs. Tuesday, Mr. Hien. Hearing that, I felt something was not quite right, so I stopped you. I said that Hung died for an unknown reason. If this matter is not clarified, it will be difficult to get justice for Mrs. Tu's family. You immediately sighed. Yes, that's right. Did you guys hear what Dung said to the others? Do guys know the reason why Hung died suddenly? Could it be that he saw a ghost? I was so scared that I died when I heard him say that. I don't understand. A lot, but when a guy hates him, then I see that it is possible that Hung to death was caused by some dark force. Mr. Lin then looked over and said, I find this strange, or did Hung get drunk and get a stroke? Kui immediately spoke up, that is not true, uncle, because what the guy hates said is the basis. Mr. Hien now urgently asked to clarify. One saw that was so scary. Now I said when the whole group went to Mrs. Tu's house to burn her house. He clearly saw 2 light bulbs standing there blocking the way ahead. 10 meters away from Nan, he told the others to stop and say that, but they laughed at him. But he had already gone home and didn't go with them anymore. He immediately said that the black shadow didn't look like a human being, so his eyes were glowing. It was like 2 pieces of burning coal. The old men looked and listened to what anyone had to say about these ghost stories. Not long after, the silent prince spoke up. If it was true as the hidden guy said, I think they were being killed by the Din Van Ward rings, and the cause was most likely because that Dung guy had destroyed the offerings. Just from the offering side, what is on the offering? It cannot be done like that. Moreover, it is already July. The dark thing is allowed to walk on Earth. He nodded and said, I think it makes sense. But why is Dung the one who caused the trouble, and Hung is the one who got into trouble? If you want to blame fate, the one who did this is the one who got into trouble. You guys are in a dead end again, because this story is unreasonable. In addition, no one has seen clearly how Hung died. Now, just relying on your words cannot be confirmed. Hung was really dead, or was it due to some other reason? Nearly 10 people sat and thought for a while. Then everyone was angry at the Kinna people outside the street. The young man was screaming. Everyone ran out to the street to see who was screaming, but standing for nearly half an hour, they didn't see anyone passing by. The king spoke in worry. Could it be that there were more dead people? Lin didn't think so. I thought it was probably those rich kids who were playing around and teasing people. They often did that. Everyone turned their backs and went into the house. Then they were startled to hear the cry of a village woman, please save people quickly. Everyone recognized that it was the feature of Mrs. Balua, not that far away. Everyone rushed to her house to see what was going on. They had just arrived and saw their friend standing on the street crying. Mr. Hien came over and asked, why are you crying so fiercely, Aunt Ba? When you saw the men running over, you said, in the royal court, Donan told everyone to come and save that guy right away, sister. Calm down and explain clearly what happened to that guy that you had to save him. Didn't you hear someone screaming just now? I heard someone screaming, so I came here because I heard him screaming. Went out to see him, then something dragged him up to the top of a coconut tree. I couldn't see clearly who it was, but there was a pair of red eyes like burning coals. I was so scared that I ran back and called everyone to come and save him. So the men missed the opportunity and immediately called Mrs. Guide to go there. Luckily, from her house to the place was only over 100 meters, so the men who had just arrived were horrified by the body of the tyrant. Mr. Ma, a farmer under the authority of Mr. Hoy. After Mrs. Lua's voice just now was so loud that many people heard it and ran to the house of the wife of the light of the torches. But everyone clearly saw how Tien Ba's body was recorded. The king looked at it for a while and then said in confusion, there's no way this could have happened. Did anyone see me, or did I see wrong? How could his body be hung on a coconut treetop with a few coconut leaves tied together? His question was also the question of everyone present here, because it was impossible for a body weighing more than 50 kilograms with a few small, fragile coconut leaves to bear the weight of the tree. The body was even more unbelievable when someone could carry the heavy weight all the way to the top of the tree. Although this coconut tree wasn't very tall, about the distance from the ground to the top is about 5 m, but to carry such a heavy object to climb up is a problem. Before the simple system, No one knew why he thought of the body lying there without falling down. Half an hour later, the father of the unfortunate young man was also informed and ran over. As soon as he arrived, he cursed whoever dared to kill my son. I will skin his whole family. You are not as kind as him, so you rely on the people of Fu Ho to sit and brutally exploit the people. He went out, looked straight and said, "Hey, Mr. Ma, you should watch your son die. How about it, then say no one go kill the farmer for what reason raise their hand. He only knows how to curse, so speak up. Say, you are kind uncle, you are all the land together. Why do you go take care of those poor stupid people always against me? You just need to point out who killed my son. I will tell him straight association. Give my husband another acre of land. I don't need more land while you keep it and bury your son. I hate you so much but can't do anything. I have to ignore, but the news appears. Again, iron body of my soldier on it, sir. I'm crazy, God. Why don't you save my son? You dare to kill my son. Wait, many people don't know. He should be cursed. Come closer and say, I'm telling you the truth. Even if you and your whole family die, we won't feel sorry for you. Don't you see how your son died? Why do you dare to blame us, the people? Mr. Hien, believe me, speak softly. Tomorrow, you and your grandparents will be able to bring your son's body up there to climb. Besides, you saw that the hanging of the farmer was not a rope, but a few small coconut leaves. I think you don't believe it, right? But he didn't accept it and said they killed my son and then tied a rope to pull him up. Now you guys climb up and take my son's body down quickly. Now no one can stand it anymore. Then he went and said, you evil people like us don't have time to climb up and take his body down. Even if your son dies, you deserve it. You go up there yourself. Leave your son's body alone. If so, everyone pulled each other out and left. Only a dozen men remained. Mr. Hien at this time, dying, said, I don't understand what you're doing. How come the people saw him die and didn't save him? That's understandable. We only have compassion. Calling you here, but how to bring your son's body down, you have to solve it yourself, the king. At this time he added, I think you should invite a priest to save your family. Your son has committed a great sin, so now he is being treated like that by Trake. What do you mean by that, my son? What have you done to me before that you say that to him? I order you to quickly bring my son's body down here. Otherwise, no one will be able to live in peace with the dozens of people present there who originally intended to. Help him bring his son's body down, but seeing his attitude doing so made everyone angry and turned away, leaving him standing there cursing and mourning after everyone left. At this time, Mr. Ma and the servant stood there, both angry and scared. He called his businessman to climb up to bring Ba's body down, but before he could do anything, they both died. They couldn't scream out loud because at this time everyone was packed in, so there wasn't much light left. Only the torch the beautiful woman was holding would be the light. The more vague it is, the more often you see two figures sitting on a coconut leaf boat looking down. Perhaps at this moment he just realized that his son's death was not caused by the people, but everything is too late for him to regret, and the shrill laughter next to his ear makes both of them startled and turn around, then die of fear when they see Mrs. Tu. Her face is bruised and swollen, one eye is gone. Blood from her mouth is torn off the edge of her ear, continuously flowing out both. Master and servant are lying on the ground when a haunting voice rings out. And you people who are harming the family died tragically today. You must pay for your lives for my family. Then she immediately rushed to strangle Mr. Ma and the famous man. The Hongdong ran away until his wife arrived at Mr. Hien's house. He fell down from exhaustion. The men ran to bring him back and asked him what happened, but the king at this time seemed to understand the situation and said, I think his master and servant should meet me. It's scary to kill the tyrant if you're not careful. You need to do this and get implicated. It's miserable, although no one knows the situation yet, but the panic that the famous man. The outward appearance is enough to show that it is really scary. Mr. Hien said in a worried breath, it is true that disaster cannot be avoided, and we cannot change anything. Hopefully, LTS, everyone nodded for a while, and the famous man also woke up. Mr. Lin went to ask about the situation, and Mr. Tan said, but his eyes showed his anxiety. Now he is a ghost. Calm down and speak more clearly, okay? What did you see out there? Mr. Ma, where will I come back here alone? He tried to say more yes. Mrs. Tu was very thin. Her face was swollen and bloody all over. She just said that her friend was afraid of her death, so she came back to take revenge. Hearing this, Mr. Hien understood the situation and sighed because everyone knew that Mrs. Tu was a little evil, but they could not have expected that her soul would turn into a demon to come back for revenge so quickly. The king immediately spoke up. I think that if you don't order evil to be punished, your blood vessels will contract and avoid it. It seems that Mr. Ma will have a hard time escaping his fate now. What can we do to help him, Mr. Hien? Dying, it is unacceptable to say that we are equal in clothes, but after all, we are human beings. If we do not help, we will be guilty. We must find a way to save him. At this time, that famous person came. Calmer, he immediately spoke up to stop them. They said, we really shouldn't go there now. Just now, I saw that the boss had his stomach ripped open by Mrs. Tu, and all his internal organs were eaten alive. It was because of Kwong that Hung tried to control him. Oh my God, why did things turn out like this? There was no way to find a way in this village. Every day there are more people dying, just watch. But the scary things out there don't wait for you guys to have more time to think, because right now, the sound of someone calling out, Dung, come out here and get something. Dung, everyone can hear that call. At this time, the people sitting in his house also woke up and went out to the yard to see who was calling his son's name in the middle of the night like that. Dung, upon hearing that, panicked and kept screaming. He said slowly, no, I'm not taking anything. Get out of my way, I'm out. He asked the prince, your son's expression of fear is immediate. I also understand what trouble this Kui Tu has caused, he went back and said, what trouble have you caused again when you go out? If you don't tell the truth, this time only God can research you. What are you doing? Your wife ran over and hugged your children. Why are you yelling at them? You should be his only son. If anything happens, who will take care of the ancestral incense for you? My son didn't do anything. I heard someone screams on purpose, trying to scare his children. He just couldn't stand his wife's pampering at the moment, so I told her to look at that son. Her son has caused so many terrible things and still says he didn't do it. Who do you think has the time to come here to threaten him? Mrs. Lean immediately defended him. I'm telling you, even if my son kills someone, the common people here must be grateful to him. Not everyone is grateful. My son gave me death to escape this filthy life of poverty. She immediately led her son into the house and shouted loudly, stop. If we don't explain everything clearly today, I will be the one to kill him. I won't let anyone kill him. Saying that, he immediately took a tree root and pointed it straight at Dung's face. Would you mind telling him that Baodin Company went to stop him and was immediately slapped in the face, causing her to fall to the ground? Several servants ran to help her up, but she had gradually chopped the chopping board and immediately stole several servants to vent her anger. After getting a little angry, she would stand in front of him to stop him from going to beat her son. However, at this moment, he didn't know if he was sitting normally or if he was being controlled by some force, but he became extremely scary. He looked at her and then went up. Very scary sound. Now will you get out of the way so I can kill him or not? Then the husband's face is no longer the same as usual, so she turned to ask and told her mother did you do anything or not tell the truth? I will protect the child, like now scared, but also not daring to admit the cruelty she caused, causing a family to be both infamous and dead. Yes, but really did not do anything. Mrs. Lean used to pamper her son, so she turned back and said she was great. I said I did not do anything, have you heard? Hurry up and go to bed. Tomorrow morning I will investigate to see who dares to pretend to be a ghost or a demon to disturb our house. What did he say that made his wife hit him hard on the head, decisively and mercilessly? Bavai hit her hard, so she fell to the ground, but her mouth still said that she believed her child did nothing. And that guy Dung was scared, so he knelt down and begged his father not to kill him, afraid that his child would say, "Dad, don't kill me. You said it quickly, don't wait, or I'll have to say it again." I said it, plus his commanding gaze, everything Arlene's mother and child, right? Terrified like this moment, Diane said the truth. Mrs. 2 Technology will be straight because you told the others to blame her. She now pale-face asked Dung, "What else did you say? Why did Hong die?" "I'm afraid you really don't know why he died, because at first you told her to go to her house to burn her house, but on the way, I don't know what happened. He stood on his feet, mouth wide open, unable to speak anymore. I was a child, thought he was joking, so when I patted his shoulder, then I knew he was really dead, and always believed in fear what my child said." But still covered up for the child, looked at her husband and said, "Dad, this is not my child's fault. If I don't find a replacement, my child will be wronged by the others. Why don't you forgive my child?" He asked at this time. His eyes were as evil as a madman. Of course, he had a son once, so he asked, "Why did you burn down someone's house?" Standing in front of the cruelty of the father that everyone in this area feared, Dung at this time was no different from someone about to be killed. At this time he answered, "Yes, last night I went out with Kui, and I saw her sitting and praying on the road. If I make her laugh, she will curse me, and I will be so angry that I broke her offerings. Is that all?" Mrs. Lean at this time immediately said to God, "Oh my God, are you crazy to kick the offerings? Do you know that doing so will be blamed?" At this time, the association looked at her and said, "Now you help her too. I'm sure that the reason for today's incident was all caused by her. She even killed someone else's family. I know my child was wrong, but because I love my child, I blame everyone else. It's okay to die from there. She has always been the most sour in this village. That poor me. Die early, wouldn't it be less miserable? Listen to her and can't stand our synchronization, then know your child is wrong, but always blame others. They can also be in her eyes. The poor people are like animals. Whether they die or not is not important." At this moment, he stood up and turned straight to the night and said, "Now you and your mother should wait for them to come back to take revenge." If so, then he immediately left without waiting for his wife to ask or comment anything else. At this time, the mother and son helped each other stand up and sit down on the chair, still angry because the father hit the head too hard, but the little mouth still comforted the son. Suddenly, at this moment, a voice came from outside saying, "Give me my life, Dad. Bring it to my house." At this moment, I was really scared because I heard it and understood that it was not the voice of a normal person. This director only knew if he took his mother, he would not sit anymore. Just like that, I heard Mrs. Lean's mother and son sitting in a room hugging each other, scared by the call of the deceased soul until, running near dawn, all the teachers returned to normal, but they were no longer normal. Maybe because of being tortured all night, the fear made both mother and son go crazy. Their hair was messy. Looking at Lack, then, mother kept begging and saying one sentence over and over again. "Don't call anymore. Don't call anymore." He asked from outside, stepped in to continue the teaching of his wife and son, but could only shake his head helplessly. After calling the businessman on the road, the two people, and taking care of him, he sat there trying to find a way to resolve this matter for someone to go. Call that Hung's father until almost noon, when Mr. Haokai also arrived. Stepping inside, his strength made the old man startled because the little servant's face was pale like a trumpet that hadn't slept for many days. He immediately asked Hao again, "What's wrong with this peasant?" "I'm afraid I'm haunted by Mrs. 2's spirit because the teacher called me to pay for the house, but I'm new. Tonight I can't sleep at all. Even during the day, I'm haunted by that threat. I can't sleep even during the night. Even though I know that, I still pretend to be. Does anyone know the reason why Mrs. Two's spirit is haunted? I'm back to demand life like that, okay? Yes, this matter. But I hope you don't get angry. Just say it. I don't blame you. Mr. Howe now bowed his head and said, "Now I think about the story of my son's death. It was really Mrs. Two who killed him, and the reason why I don't know why he died like that." The association seemed surprised and asked what the person said that we had convicted the Japanese student. If it was unjust, then why didn't you just take all the people from her family away? He seemed hesitant until he asked again. Then he said, "Yes, it's true. I love my children so much that I tortured them so hard that everyone did it." After hearing what the counselor said, they were surprised because they thought this man was more cruel than themselves. In just a few days, he had tortured the whole family of 4 people to death. It was so ridiculous. When asked at this time, he immediately said, "Are you human or not to kill the whole family like that? Now that the whole family died unjustly, it was right to come back to collect the debt." Mr. Howe immediately added that he was faking a hunger strike and admitted that there was a little cruelty. But as a citizen, he loved his children too much. "But I think Mr. Dung is also related to this." "A lot?" he asked. Hearing that, he understood that what his son had done could no longer be kept a secret. But he still tried to act as if he didn't know and stood outside, saying that, "What does my son have to do with them?" "What do you mean by that?" Maybe he was haunted by Mrs. Two's spirit, so now he was no longer afraid of this rich man like before. He stood up straight and said, "I don't know if you know, but now he's pretending not to know. But the truth is, I'm telling you, even the family tree can't escape revenge this time, son. Your son has caused everything and then pushed my family to receive a bad reputation. Now the spirit of the dead is claiming his life, and after hearing it, his face turned pale, but he no longer felt angry. Instead, he felt shocked. Because he also knew clearly what would happen to his family. Seeing that thing, Mr. Howe at this time could not miss the opportunity to continue blaming. "Today, if you do not send someone to call me, I will come and see you myself. Today, even if you kill me, you cannot stop the words I say next. I still have a precious son who has committed too many sins. Because of him, my child died. So today I came here to prepare myself to receive Mrs. Two's revenge." He spoke well and turned away, but Mr. Hoyt called him back. "Wait, what did you just say? Why did you dare to scold my family like that today? Aren't you afraid that I will kill your whole family?" Mr. Howe laughed bitterly. Now she thought, "Can my family survive?" But the guy was afraid that you would kill your grandson. "Maybe tonight I won't be able to live anymore, so you don't need it. Why do you have to threaten me?" Mr. Dain passed away as an affirmation of the authority of the association, which was no longer as scary as what he was suffering every night. The association was no longer as fierce as before, but ran to hold my hand and said softly, "Don't forget that. Now that we are in the same boat, we must join forces to swim to shore. I'm here. Let's find a way to prevent the ghost of Mrs. Two from returning to take revenge." Mr. Howe sneered and said, "Are you still trying to act like a tyrant with me now? Then you're the Jinin name is passed. I know you've had the same problem as my family. If you want to do the same, then try to sit down and find a way." At this moment, the counselor seemed to have become a different person. He happily invited the other man in. He personally poured tea and invited him. Therefore, Mr. Tan immediately calculated before me, because he tried his best to keep this a secret. Once he could stop her spirit from taking revenge, he promised to erase all his family's debts and give him more good land. Even though the reward was too attractive, the other man still showed joy and kept his face flustered. "Now, so I didn't say now don't say anything normal for me, or quickly find a way to stop her ghost, or else you won't have a life to enjoy," he asked. Stand up and walk back and forth, but still can't find a good way now from a person to a person running in to report the news, sir. "The story is big, sir," he asked. Still nothing unexpected. Look back then, ask now there is nothing bigger than my annoy you. quickly tell me, what is the story that you are screaming like that? Yes, Mr. Ma, because Kaba died last night. Only now the two men were confused. Urgent question, what did you say? Why did you leave it there to die? I'm afraid I heard people say that the night the seller went out and was hung by a demon on a coconut treetop, touching his head and eating him. He was also killed by that demon, and I also heard that both of them were hit by buffaloes with coconut leaves. It's disgusting. Mr. Howe immediately spoke up, so she had already started, because in this case there were up to 5 people who took the glasses, and it was said that their child was hanged on a coconut treetop, so you know who could have done that. Don't want to know too much. Mr. Hoy let him go out and looked over. He said, "Is there any way to resolve this matter? Or should we go and ask her soul to confess, and then we will publicly apologize to her family?" Mr. Howe heard him laugh and said, "Are you crazy or not? If his whole family dies, what's the use of apologizing? Not to mention that when I killed her family, I threw their bodies into the river, and I don't know where their bodies went." A group of dying cursed, but he sat there, not paying any attention, and said softly, "Now that Mr. Howe is the boss, you're the boss. I am a servant," so he asked at this time, "Should we go find a master now to seal and imprison the soul of her family? If not, then we will have to go and find their decrees to bury them properly." Mr. Howe Han is one more time. "So now where do you plan to go to find the master you have liked from the past until now? Did you hear anyone make the decrees? As for finding them, it is considered more difficult than finding a needle in a haystack, because that night I threw the ancient decrees into the river with strong currents, so it is possible that those decrees were swept away very far away. Earning money is not an easy thing." Mr. Hoy at this time was as scared as a servant of a tycoon. Whatever he said, he listened and no longer loudly ordered like before. The two of them sat there, thinking about how to solve this problem. Suddenly, Mrs. Lean Longin's miserable voice made the whole day wake up. They quickly ran in to see what was going on, but as soon as they got there, the heroic scene that hit the whole day's eyes was so unbelievable that they could not put it into words. Dung's son was also sitting at this time, lying in a pool of blood. It was unknown if he had dissolved into the spirit. The spirit of Mrs. Tu haunted him the next day, but he used the transaction on his face or went very deep, causing blood to flow profusely. He even cut pieces of flesh on his body, causing him to hear Mr. Tu running into a position that was opened fiercely. Hung stood frozen in place. Mrs. Lean was too scared at this time, feeling sorry for her son, so she was heartbroken and afraid. Hesitant to go to the funeral, he gradually heard screams, so he ran in. Everyone was afraid, but they did not dare to leave him alone, so they tried to accept and brought Mrs. Lean to another position and brought Dung to the bed. Lying down, but everyone was scared and tried to bring it up so as not to be scolded at this time. Dung still hadn't become called Mr. Tan back and said father and son apologized for being afraid that his family could not stop this matter, and the circle was that I would use my own death so that she would forgive my parents. I apologized just after saying a few sentences that the evil laughter rang out again, causing all the famous people to run away. Quickly follow me. There are many fun things. Waiting for that person, that scary voice just ended. Dung suddenly believed the box and bled a lot. Then breathed his last without closing his eyes. When Dung had just died, the two men heard the laughter of a child waiting for the dead man. Dared to leave our offerings. The two men heard the laughter clearly, then looked at each other in surprise. Mr. House said at this time, could it be that they were still making trouble that he could not finish his sentence? But that was enough to support the fear of offending a wandering spirit. What would be the consequences? Mr. Hoy at this time had to try very hard to stay calm and call the beautiful woman to prepare for the funeral, but what had just happened had caused the 5 people to leave. Only 3 people were left. Mr. Hoy, when he heard that his master had left, did not curse law but gently told the children to try to help him find a match for him. After he finished, he would pay his salary for the whole year and let his children return to their own homes so they would no longer have to stay and help him. Hearing this from the mouth of a cruel rich man who would make people's lives like grass, no one dared to believe it was true. However, fortunately for him, the remaining people were very loyal and worked together to take care of their master's funeral. That afternoon, Mr. Hien called him too, that came to offer condolences to him. Suddenly he stood up and spoke loudly to those who came to offer condolences, making him surprised and unable to believe it. I thank you very much for not hating my family and coming to offer condolences like that. I would also like to announce something here. From now on, those who owe me money will be cleared. Tomorrow, I will redistribute the land to those who are renting the land from my house. After hearing that, Lean was also surprised by her husband's change, but she did not immediately say anything against his decision. Maybe that the death of this only son made the old couple collapse, no longer thinking about fame, wealth, and wealth. When the people heard, they thought the snake was dreaming because from ancient times until now, his family had robbed land and harmed the public. So many families were broken and even lost their lives. But today, no one thought that a demon who burned people like the old couple could say such sincere words of repentance. Mr. Lin also whispered to Mr. Hien. It seemed that the old man had realized his mistake, but he didn't know if it was still in time to correct it. No, Mr. Hien, I understand what you mean, but you also realize that there is something behind this story because even you here cannot believe that he changed overnight, as if there was a command from some invisible force. In what sentence, listening to what people are saying about him, now I think he is crazy when his son died, right? Why has he always been so self-conscious? There is nothing good about him. I think his son did something, so the whole village has been disturbed for the past few nights. Probably he is trying to be a good person so that when everything is over, he will get it back. While Mr. Hien sat there listening to a long letter, sad to see my husband like that, although it is not clear whether he has really changed or not, but everyone said that they understood how much he was choking. Suddenly, a sentence from a citizen sitting next to him made the center and other people pay attention. Those guys don't know that, but this morning, Dunn also cut his own flesh as if someone possessed him and forced him to do it. Hey, that guy. Devil, do you see or not that you say such a bad thing? If you get his hands, it will be in front of the whole house. The secretary, surely he won't be able to live for many more days. This story was made by my cousin, he told it here. He said that he was sitting. This morning, when he heard the voice of the lady who blessed Na, a person ran over and saw it with his own eyes. But then it was even more scary. The story made the gossiping ladies excited, and they came to sit closer to listen to a lady who now spoke up and urged this devil to speak quickly. Tell it, but keep clicking like that. Who can stand this guy? Quite funny, immediately grabbed it and didn't click. Why are you happy? Thanks to you, the ladies can't leave me. The gentleman sitting here can also laugh. The meaning is that you can also guess what happened to Mr. Hoy's house, so you don't care about the meaning behind those half-hearted words. So, do you think this guy is deliberately trying to let the ladies gossip for fun? He said contempt. When he said that, the three of them stood up and walked over to ask again. Do you know what else my younger brother said? It's very scary. He said that he heard a scary voice with his own ears in the middle of the room. In broad daylight, laughter and talking, Dung died without closing his eyes, and his grandparents couldn't do anything to make him close his eyes, so they had to bury him. The ladies knew that people who die without closing their eyes were unlucky, especially now on the 15th day of the 7th lunar month. Mr. Hien turned to the guy. What did you say? Was it true? If you didn't like him, seeing his strength, you would be scared, so you lowered your voice. Now his younger brother said that, and he also said that Mr. Howe's house had been disturbed for the past few days, so it wouldn't be possible to live in peace. The king said at this time, I'm done. Everything has gone too far. Tonight, someone will definitely die, but I don't know who just finished speaking. Everyone present was horrified when they clearly heard the laughter of the children here. It's so much fun. It's dead. Now everyone believes what men said because the present hasn't come yet. But there has been the appearance of an invisible world here. The king sighed and said in worry, "It seems that everything didn't come out of nowhere." Do you still remember what he said? We said no. Maybe it was a disaster from Dung's disrespectful actions when he knocked over Mrs. Two's offerings to the spirits. Mr. Lin immediately wondered, but if that was the case, why did the factory suffer such a tragic death and lose its body? If she had sincerely offered the offerings, those spirits would know who was good and who was bad. You shouldn't explain. Just now, everyone clearly heard the sound of children laughing and talking, right? Maybe the spirits blamed their fate as children. That's why they couldn't distinguish who was right or wrong. I think this Dung died because of the child spirit did it, and the spirit of Mrs. Two turned into a ghost and took revenge on all the families of those present. That night I thought, blood debt must be paid with blood. The whole family died tragically. Surely their parents would have to bear the brunt of this disaster. Mr. Hien looked into the house and saw him sitting on the ground, constantly begging me to please spare my family. My son has paid for his wrongdoings. I will also change. I will not fight to steal other people's property. I will return everything I have taken. Taking from the people for so many years, please forgive us. Listen to the plea of the council. Everyone was also sad because the people inherently carry with them kindness and gentleness. She often holds grudges, so everyone accepted. Forgive his family when they saw him. Sincerely repent. Everyone sat together to help the family reduce their retirement situation. After about half an hour, suddenly the sky darkened and clouds gathered from the beginning more and more, and they gradually grew stronger, as if a storm was about to come. Everyone agreed that this was not normal. So some people were scared, but ran back to his house. Only a few old people stayed at the funeral. Everyone was shocked when for the first time before such a scary change, suddenly from the wind appeared a very fishy smell that was hard to people. Everyone was shocked to look out, but then Mrs. Lean's terrifying voice rang out, making everyone return home. Now everyone understood that the fishy smell came from somewhere. It was blood from Dung's coffin flowing. Out the blood was not bright red blood, but a long black color. To let everyone calm down, tell another strange story again. The coffin suddenly shook violently, but the object placed on it fell out. The scariest thing was the sound of a scream coming from inside the coffin, as if Dung was still alive. Mrs. Lean Din ran over, and a few people then held back a loud explosion that caused the coffin to open and fly to one side. The candles around were suddenly extinguished in the light of the lightning. Everyone was terrified. They received a pair of red eyes from the coffin looking up at them. At this time, it was beyond human endurance, so they could no longer hold on. Calmly ran away. The wise man and the prince went back to Mr. Lin's house and went there instead of going back to their own house because the three men were also together. Plus, those ghostly things only happened at Mr. Hoy's house, and outside everything was normal. At this time, the three men did not want to bother Mr. Lin's wife and children, so they chose to sit outside in the yard under the mango tree to talk. The three men's eyes looked towards the house where Mr. Hoy was sitting. Indeed, everyone was clearly scared when everything happened here. Each lightning bolt lit up and then flashed. Off at his house for a long time there were lightning bolts that even hit his house because the house of the gentleman was only a few hundred meters away. But because of the open space, it was night or day to be able to see it, and the village sky was covered with dark clouds. But thunder only appeared right at Fu Hoi's house. Thanks to that, Baong dared to sit outside the yard to observe the developments. Mr. Hien sighed and spoke up. Have you guys ever witnessed such a terrifying scene? From the time I was born until now, this is the first time. The first saw that, is the world of the dead really scary, and is it so close to me? The king said at this time. Actually, when I was little, I had a monk who adopted me, because I was very difficult to raise, so I also heard him talk a lot about the underworld. seeing that the world is only separated by a piece of curtain, just go and see one step very lost in the underworld right away. It seems that this time, the evil people will receive a tragic death. Mr. Lin said at this time, those people are really evil. But seeing this scene, I also found it hard to control myself. Lying down, both afraid and sorry for no qua. So why did they realize their wrongdoing sooner? Then it got to this point, but the three men could only sit there and look at each other helplessly. Then they knew that there were people there who needed help. But who could save them when it wasn't humans who caused it? And then everything came to an end. The dark clouds flew away to pay the price for the world. The light of the full moon was gentle. All worries and fears were also blown away by the gentle wind. The cotton decided to go there one more time to see if it could help. Just walked there and stood there. Outside the gate, but the whole group was stunned. When looking inside, everything was broken. But one thing is that if you don't like anyone, then you know it's scary. But because of their compassionate nature, they still decided to go in to see clearly after looking everywhere. But still not seeing anyone, Mr. Lin spoke up. Could it be that he and his wife ran away from here in panic or something? They hoped that nothing happened to them, but the prince didn't think so. Immediately spoke up Tran Duk Mr. Lin's thoughts. If everything was so good, then why worry about the two of you quickly? Looking at the coffin, it was just like what he said, because at first there was no light here, so they couldn't see the condition of the coffin. Plus, looking from the outside, the moonlight only showed tables and chairs lying around, leaning against the gate, adding the light from the candle that Mr. Hien had just lit, allowing them to clearly see the scene of devastation hidden in this place. The coffin was now broken and shattered. There was still dung inside. There were no more items that were licked along with the ones lying on the ground as if someone had thrown them out. Then the king took the body away and said in fear that this could only be Mrs. Tu turning into a demon to take revenge. At this rate, how can we stop her revenge? The three of them stood there, looking at the devastated scene, then quietly walked away, because there was no way to stop the revenge of a demon who was carrying extreme resentment. Each person was cold in their own house. Then they lay there thinking to themselves, if everyone lived on money, not competing, fighting, killing their own kind, then maybe things wouldn't be so bad. Like today, the next morning, Mr. Hien was awakened by the sound of chatter outside. He went out to see what was going on. Surprisingly, when he arrived in front of his house, there were dozens of people there. He then spoke up. What were they doing? They came to my house early in the morning like they were collecting debts. A woman immediately spoke up. We owe Mr. Tsong everything. How could we dare collect debts? It's just that this morning, we went to the Fu Ho Association's house and discovered that there was no one left. We split up and searched everywhere, but couldn't find him. I knew, but I still tried to act surprised. Continue to say strange things. He is increasing dung will leave. Where can he go? Oh my God, over there now, it's like an abandoned house. No ghosts. Actually, because of what he said yesterday, we came this morning to see if we could get the land back like he said. So we discovered that he and his wife, even Dung's coffin, were crushed. The body was gone, silently worried in their hearts. Now it can be said that his family has not survived this disaster. So he spoke up to reassure everyone. No, let's put the land issue aside for now. Surely everyone knows the scary things that have been happening here these past few days. So I suggest we find a way to resolve that issue first. After everything, if he still doesn't come back, I will stand up and redistribute the land to everyone, as he said. Many people are happy because they are about to get their land back to do business, but there are also a few people who think more positively, so they ask you more. We understand very well, but what if the tenant farmers don't accept it and join forces against him? How can you confront them alone? Mr. Hien smiled lightly and replied, actually, I'm not alone. If the Fu Ho Association is no longer there, I will lead everyone to force the electricity workers to accept to pay for all the land that they have robbed from everyone. We will start a different life. A life without power, without class division. Everyone will be given equal land to make a living to support their wives and children. This is what convinced everyone, because who doesn't want to live freely and not be a slave to others? He did not want to stop cultivating the results of his own efforts to get them. However, everyone listened to his words and went searching everywhere, but by the afternoon, they still could not find the old man. Mr. Hien called everyone to come to his house tomorrow to discuss further. At this time, it was almost afternoon. Mr. Hien called the old man back and said, "I'm worried. Why don't we go to the new house to see what the situation is? These days, we haven't seen their children coming. It's like something has happened that we don't know about." The king at this time also saw it was right, so he accepted to follow him to Bodhisattvadayan's house. The wise man stood outside and called out to Mr. Lai, "Are you home?" No one was far away. The two of them looked at each other and were secretly worried because the names that followed the old man were all the same. They also had people. They lived in the heart of the people, not inferior to the rich man. He still tried to call out loudly once more, "I'm here. Are you home?" "Mr. Lai, stand for a while longer." The two of them decided to walk past someone else's house when suddenly there was a noise inside. Looking back, the door was opening. The two of them were smiling, laughing because things weren't that bad when the door was open all day was quickly turning off the smile on his lips, but because of the fact that having that Nick was no different than a seriously ill person waiting for us to go out. Mr. Hien then asked for this diabetic man what was wrong with him. Why did he open the gate and call the two of them inside when they entered the house? Both of them were surprised when his house was very broken and there was a certain smell as if at a level where he had also recognized that strange expression for a long time. So he spoke up explaining that the two of you don't criticize. It's true that my house is new today. No one dared to go anywhere. The servants were all scared and ran away, and to the point that my wife took the money and ran away, and my son just lay on the bed and moaned like a madman. I heard that you two understood what was going on. Mr. Hien asked to visit his son, so don't worry anymore. Let us visit him for a bit, but don't be afraid because his bed smells even worse." The king immediately replied, "Don't worry, every sick person is like that. When you two went inside, you had to cover your nose because of this model. It was really unbearable, both fishy and sitting like a corpse." The gentleman understood and immediately went to turn his son over. He told a story again. All three were terrified because the belt was now cracked. They would stop biting and tearing the flesh of the village chief and the queen. What was this about? Why was my son still alive and the money came out? It had rotted like that. The two men didn't know what to say because if a sick person had been lying in one place for a few days, he couldn't have been attacked by a wild animal like that. If the time it happened until now was only about 4 days, Mr. Hong didn't say anything but turned around and walked outside to sit. Down on the chair nearby, Mr. Hien also followed, now asked quietly, "Uncle Hong shows that this is more terrifying than torturing by letting it go and eating its flesh while it is still alive. Then the thing understands," he said. "Just rush over and beg to read. Where to get bitten, tearing the flesh is not easy." But the king at this time, his eyes were red and he said in a choked voice, "It seems that the other houses are no different from here. It is true that parents cannot easily help their children properly. The consequences are too great." The village chief was hugging his child, crying and breaking down, breaking the two people. Seeing that, was it not? What to do? I had to leave quietly, just out of the gate, not yet had time to get an injection, suddenly heard Mr. Lee's voice. Then the door suddenly closed. The gentleman was about to go in to see, but the prince stopped him. "Don't. The closed door means that the guest can't go in anymore. Let the father and son pay for their actions. I understand. I have to follow fate. So now let's go to Fu's house. His house is also nearby to see if there's anything interesting the two of you should take advantage of the time to go home before it gets dark. Right now, around here, the night falls. Who doesn't?" Knowing what happened, the two people called out, but no one answered. It was still a deserted scene with people coming and going. The prince climbed a nearby tree and jumped inside to open the gate for him to look in. Knowing that he called out to open the door, no one opened it, so the prince knocked hard and accidentally opened the door. It was still like Mr. Lee's house. Just now, I was lying down and going home. The stench was so strong that the deeper we went inside, the more uncomfortable it became until we entered a room and saw the corpses of Tien Fu and his wife lying there. Then bought the whole room by 2 corpses rotting milk because he had not seen the straight line of his son, so all day he tried to endure the stinky bait and went to the next room. The old railway line was still Dong Fu, couldn't stand it anymore, so he hurriedly ran out and vomited. Mr. Hien couldn't stand it anymore, so he called the prince back to his house, plus it was almost evening after returning home to rest. The 2 men were now calmly talking. Mr. Lin and a few others also pulled over. After hearing the 2 talk about the scene they were in that day, now everyone is scared because this matter can no longer be stopped. Sitting here for about half an hour, Mr. Hien just spoke up. Now we can say that the news that the tenant farmers and the association have all been killed. Now we only have one way, which is to pray to Mrs. Tu's soul not to harm innocent people. If we accept the trap, we will continue to live. If we can't, we have to leave the country. The only way left is to go pray to the soul. Although everyone has been haunted by the past few days, but for the safety of their loved ones, they accept the risk of facing the dark world out there. Hien and his family had prepared everything they needed, so they went far away and came back. Mr. Lin asked, "Where do we go to pray?" Now I see that every house is haunted, so what can I do? Standing there, thinking for a while, Mr. Hien decided to go and ask Mr. Evolution to help. He was the one who killed her, so I thought his wife and children would not die peacefully. That was reasonable. So everyone quickly went there. As soon as they got there, Cam heard the sound of crying and groaning, and it was clear that they had arrived at the right place. Mr. Hong kicked the door open and walked inside. The house saw a black shadow strangling Mr. Ho's wife. Mr. Hien spoke up at this time. Luckily, stop, don't kill anymore, and it has paid too dearly. The black figure threw her aside and turned back, so its eyes were red. Looking at him, he said, "Even if they die 1,000 times, it still won't be enough to pay for their sins. I don't kill innocent people. You guys get out of here quickly. I know how much injustice you and your family have to endure, but that's not how you can go around killing one person after another. Stop, don't create more karma." She came closer, her voice, "Don't worry, go back to your wife and children. I'll only kill this evil controller. Tonight, I will return peace to this place." When it was done, it beat everyone out of the house. The door automatically closed very loudly. The screams of the wife and children echoed more and more tragically. When they could no longer be heard, everyone understood what was going on. The wise man knelt on the ground and said, "If that's the case, then I beg you, who has done harm to innocent people, once you've taken revenge, let her live in peace. I said I wouldn't harm innocent people. Tomorrow, you all go to the riverbank to take the body. Our family came to bury us. I only had one last wish, and we will take your body to a place where no one will know. I want their bodies and souls to be tormented forever." A voice rang out in the sky. You guys understood that the innocent people would no longer be afraid, so everyone happily went home. The next morning, you guys became monks. A few more people went to the riverbank, searched and brought her back to bury her at her house. After this story, everyone was scared. Every time they thought about it, they could not find their children and grandchildren doing such things, especially in the month that the people of the school call the ghost month. If Dung had listened to the advice of no yellow to the deceased, everything would not have turned out like that. Because of a moment of impulsiveness, he missed his home and others had to pay a very high price. Thank you, dear listeners, for your attention. Goodbye, everyone, and see you again in the next stories.